I was just trying to find a quote that I'd heard recently, something to the effect of, if you want men to build, and this is kind of an old timey quote, if you want men to build a boat, you don't teach them how to use like saws and craftsmanship and, that type of thing, but rather you instill in them a yearn for the sea, right? You yearn to be like out on the ocean, right? So it's that, and I see the vision is that second part, that determination of like, this is where we want to be, this is the feeling we want to have, this is the mission we want to provide.
It sets the compass.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But then you still need, okay, well, how are we going to build these boats? Well, okay, here's the tool set. So I think the product goals could be more concrete there. Welcome back to Sound Notes by Leading Agile. I'm Vic Bonacci. I'm a certified Scrum trainer working with Leading Agile. And here is Dave Pryor, who's also a certified Scrum trainer.
And I am not as good of a radio voice as you. Yes, I'm Dave Pryor. I'm also a certified Scrum trainer at Leading Agile.
You can see I've got the radio face, though, so that's even better. Oh, yeah. I love getting together with you here and having these quick conversations, because not only do I learn from you, which matter of fact, I do every time I have a conversation with people. Other. Yeah, exactly. But it also helps me articulate maybe better my position. I'm already sharing it with Scrum Masters or leaders or teams all the time. But here you are, we're both certified trainers, and we've been through kind of a process of creating curriculum and following learning objectives and kind of getting to the root of what did this text mean when they wrote it. Yeah. So a lot of what we're talking about is, we've seen it in practice, but a lot of it's just theoretical. So talking with you helps me articulate it better and kind of test my hypotheses, right?
And that gives me a great idea for this that we hadn't talked about, but I'm just going to spring it.
Wing it. Yeah.
So we're going to talk about product goal. But what I would love is for anybody who listens to this or watches this to put something in the show notes and explain to us how you're coping with the challenge of product goal. There's a specific issue that I have with it that I've been struggling with it since they put it in the Scrum Guide, and I don't have an answer. And I'd love to know how people are making it work. So you want to give them the rundown on product goal, and then I'll tell them where my issues arise from? Does that work?
I can do that. So the product goal, and I was going to try to open up the, I'm not going to do it now though, but I was going to try to open up the actual Scrum Guide to look at it. But instead, I'm just going to kind of wing it myself. The product goal was introduced in the last Scrum Guide, which was the year 2020. So it's going on 3 years old now. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong here. But what they took out of the Scrum Guide was equally important, and that was the word vision. Yeah. So oftentimes when we're talking about planning in Agile, kind of the general Agile planning, there were a few papers written on this. Some of us refer to those oftentimes. There's this idea of this onion where you've got these layers of planning, and on the outside you've got what was called vision. And then stepping in, and there's variations on this diagram, but stepping in from vision was road mapping, and then kind of release planning or quarterly planning. And then you've got your Scrum, the sprint in Scrum or whatever iteration you're doing. And then inside that is the daily meeting. So kind of this onion where planning was happening at all layers. And what I had been saying historically about the vision is, when you have a vision, it's usually one person's vision or a small group, and they kind of come up with it over a long weekend at a nice resort and, kind of set it and forget it. Sure, they might go back and modify it, but, it's usually pretty short, looks like an elevator pitch. And that was really about all I'd say about the vision.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I different feeling about the vision statement than you, but this is good.
Very good. Yeah. Well, I didn't say vision statement. I guess I did. I guess it's the same thing. So, so I think that having a product goal, however, and in the Scrum Guide, they use this word. It's what is it? They said it's an accountability.
It right here. I'll
read it to me.
It's a commitment.
A commitment, thank you.
The product goal describes the future state of the product, which can serve as a target for the Scrum team to plan against. The product goals in the product backlog. The rest of the product backlog emerges to define what will fulfill the product goal. And the product goal is a long-term objective for the Scrum team. They must fulfill or abandon one objective before taking on the next.
Yeah. I like that. See, that says a lot more to me than a product vision statement.
Okay.
They're different, but for the Scrum team, I think that replacing a vision with a product goal makes sense.
Okay.
Again, a vision to me felt too amorphous, too like, it was lacking something that needed to be there, in my opinion, to help serve as that guiding light, that North Star for the team. A vision, don't get me wrong, it is great to kind of keep wind in the sails for me, but it didn't actually give me that navigational direction, if that makes sense.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So I think about it. There's two things I think make the vision statement so important. One is that, like you said, a vision, the way you talked about a vision, it could be an idea like some person had. And I always think about it, if I'm the product owner, my job is to serve the needs of the organization. And if I have 8 senior executives and each one of them has a different idea of what this product is supposed to be, then I'm screwed. And so the vision statement would be getting those executives together and getting them to agree in writing on what is this product, why does it need to exist, and how is it going to make the world better. And then flowing from that, the product goal would be a measurable step towards achieving the vision. So like when Kennedy said, I did a workshop with Richard Cheng, and he used John Kennedy's thing about going to the moon and returning safely in 10 years as a great example of a vision statement. It's a lofty, impossible thing. We don't know how we're going to do it, but we all know where we're headed, and we can all align around that. It also sets context for the team. So if they get a story or something, like they know how to work with it. If I told you to film a gunfight for my movie, but I didn't tell you what kind of movie I was making, you wouldn't know if I was making like Star Wars or some cop movie, right? So what to do is in question. But where I get hung up with the product goal is that if we can only do one product goal at a time, and we put the product goal into the backlog, and everything in the backlog is supposed to emerge to serve that product goal, right? Then what about all the ideas that don't serve that product goal? Where do we put them?
The island of misfit goals, right?
Misfit toys. Yeah. So does that, because if the product goal is supposed to help us keep the backlog more precise, more focused, then we have we end up with another backlog.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't solve any problem now if I have to manage 2 backlogs. And that's what I've been really struggling with. So I would love to hear from people how they're handling that. If they're just putting multiple product goals in the backlog, and having like each subsection fill out almost like a work breakdown structure, or if you are maintaining a completely separate thing, or if you're not using them or you are using vision, like there's a lot in question here, right?
I like going back to the Kennedy speech. I like framing it like that. I was just trying to find a quote that I'd heard recently, something to the effect of, if you want men to build, and this is kind of an old timey quote, if you want men to build a boat, you don't teach them how to use like saws and craftsmanship and that type of thing, but rather you instill in them a yearn for the sea, right? You yearn to be like out on the ocean, right? So it's that, and I see the vision is that second part, that determination of like, this is where we want to be, this is the feeling we want to have, this is the mission we want to provide.
It sets the compass.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But then you still need, okay, well, how are we going to build these boats? Well, okay, here's the tool set, So I think the product goals could be more concrete there. Going back to where you moved into talking about what happens, what do you put in your backlog?
Yeah.
I'm still working through how to put the product goal in the backlog. And to your point of like, what about other product goals? Where do they go?
Yeah.
I think that one really wonderful thing about leading Agile, I'm not going to talk about frameworks. I don't like talking about a lot of frameworks, but this one I will kind of dip my toe in the water. The governance model that we typically use with clients is typically a 3-tiered, maybe a 4th tier, but let's just talk about the product category tier, and then the product line tier, and then we've got delivery team tier. And again, I spend most of my time with delivery teams, but at the product line team tier there, they are taking these epics and breaking them into features. It's just our governance model, what we call things. And at the category tier, they're taking these initiatives, which could be the fallouts of the vision. It could be product goals, and breaking that into smaller features, right? And so when we talk about kind of this backlog containing a product goal, I'm assuming, and it's built into our governance model, that our product category, working with our product line team, they are doing that. They're intentionally talking about trade-offs of different product goals. And then what's the strategic focus of the organization over the next 3 months or 1 year, whatever, in terms of a balance of goals that we're going toward. And hopefully it's only one, but maybe it's 2 or 3. And then at the nexus then between the product line and the delivery team, now you're taking that product goal and further decomposing it, and again, hopefully giving the team only one product goal at a time that they're aiming toward.
So that's really interesting. So you're looking at it more from a strategic idea perspective that's flowing down to the teams, creating clarity on priority for them, so that they can just focus on, this is the part of the ship we're building today, as opposed to let's build all the parts at once. Right.
And maybe we're not building a ship today. Maybe safety and swimming abilities is the focus for the next. But that's it. Exactly. Again, I go back to that onion drawing of kind of like vision on the outside, road mapping, et cetera. I kind of think still our governance model is kind of adheres to a lot of that, taking a larger piece, decomposing, and most governance models do something like that.
Yeah. Right? Cool. So if you're watching it, we'd love to hear how you're using it. What you're doing.
I would. I certainly echo what Dave said. Yeah, tell us.
And we both do this same kind of work, but we look at it very different ways. So I think there's a lot of room for interpretation and implementation. And it's something that, I spend a lot of time thinking about the product goal, because I'm always teaching the PO classes, and I'm always curious to see that so few people have product goals. Even though it's been in the Scrum Guide a while, it's still not widely practiced as far as I've been able to see. Yeah. So if you're watching, we'd love to hear from you. If you have topics, questions, anything you want us to kind of kick around in here, let us know. How can they reach you, Vic?
Email is the best at my Leading Agile email, which is victor.bonacci, Bonacci, at leadingagile.com.
And I'm dave.pryor at leadingagile.com. And thank you very much for watching.
Bye, everyone.
See you.